So, all of a sudden, Warner Bros. Discovery all of a sudden has money to advertise the Flash movie. There is so many inconsistencies in the stories behind the scenes to do with the DC universe and DC Studios. Now, I don't know who's in charge because the Flash movie, it's not a DC universe movie, although it would technically come under DC Studios. So I think this is going to be an interesting video, personally. So, yo, what is freaking good, YouTube? This video is not sponsored by Monster, but if anyone is listening from Coca-Cola who owns the Monster Energy franchise, hit me up in the business email, sponsor me, because I really want to work with Monster. So, if you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse, pop culture based content that we do on a daily basis. If you could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below. What do you think about the Flash movie? I think it could be very interesting. So, if you could also check us out on Twitter, WarStewG, and also check us out on Instagram at WarStew to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Right, let's get into this video. So, the Flash movie, very controversial because they paid Henry Cavill $250,000 to do a scene that they've taken out. Allegedly, they've taken Gal Gadot's scene out that they paid her to do. Warner Bros. Discovery allegedly has no money to market movies, yet you pay Henry Cavill $250,000 for a scene that's gonna be not used, and you're gonna pay Gal. So what? Gal probably got paid 50 to 100K, maybe. Yet Warner Bros. Discovery doesn't have any money, and we broke the story that the real reason why there's gonna be a hard reboot was because Black Adam flopped, and also Henry Cavill, etc., were gonna cost too much money. So Zaslav wanted to come in and basically bring in a cheaper, newer cast that could grow for the next 10 years, which is fine if that's what they want to do. But all of a sudden, they've got some money. Now, I am quite skeptical of the source for this. So, The Wrap reported this. Heroic Hollywood reported this, who have blocked me for some reason because I spoke to Humberto Gonzalez. I told him Zack Snyder Justice League movie was coming. And then when it came out, I was like, yo, I told you so. So all of a sudden, he's blocked me on his personal account, even on Instagram and on Twitter, and he's also blocked me on the trade Twitter. Really interesting. So I had to go onto incognito mode in the internet browser to find out if it actually did come from them. So allegedly, it does come from them, but I'm very skeptical about this trailer. Well, not actually the trailer, when the trailer's being shown. So allegedly, the trailer is going to be shown during the Super Bowl. But hold on, guys. They've got no money. Warner Bros. Discovery is actually in debt. $47 billion debt. Why is no other commentary channel actually saying how much debt they're in? So, the Super Bowl, according to financial experts, in 2022, it costs $233,000 per second. So a basic 30-second advert would cost over $7 million. But Warner Bros. Have no money. You see the inconsistency here. Warner Bros. Also they haven't done a trailer at Super Bowl for such a long time. So they're going to drop $7 million at least on a trailer, yet they can't afford Henry Cavill's wages, can't afford to pay Gal $20 million, but they can drop $7 million at least on a trailer. Now, I'm just very skeptical about this whole trailer at the Super Bowl, more skeptical about the source. So as reported by The Wrap, Warner Bros. Will be back at the Super Bowl after not making any ad buys since 2006. The Hollywood giant will bring back a brand new look at The Flash as they speed towards the June release. Very skeptical. Obviously, there's Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out. So it says here the outlet speculates, well, it's a speculation website, isn't it, that the Super Bowl taking place just days before the release of Ant-Man, the Quantum Mania. Ant-Man, the Wasp, Quantum Mania. We've got an actual plot leak fact video. I'll leave it right now so you can check it out. It's pretty accurate. This could be a Titanic drum to enthusiasm. Basically saying they're going to try and hype up the Flash movie. To be honest, shouldn't really need hyping up, irrespective of what's going on in the DC universe at the moment, because you've got Batfleck in it, you've got Michael Keaton in it. You should just be hyped based on that. Yeah, I know it's sad we've got Ezra Miller as the Flash. I don't think he's that bad, but I don't think he's that good. But not only that, you've got Sasha Calle Supergirl, and there's a bunch of other characters in there. And I think Gal Gadot is still in the movie. I just think the extra stuff was taken out, but we don't know. But Henry Cavill was allegedly supposed to be in this movie as well. And I'm going to ruin his scene for you right now in 3, 3, 2, 1, go. So basically, the Flash was going to run into the Speed Force, and Henry Cavill Superman was going to be in there, and then the Flash was like, oh, so this is where you've been all this time. And that is pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That is the whole scene. And then, yeah, some fake scoopers are claiming that there was some Justice League set up at the end of the movie that was shot allegedly. We do know Henry Cavill did shoot a scene, but as for this ending scene, we don't know. Aquaman was supposed to be in this movie, but that's been taken out as well. This whole movie was allegedly supposed to, actually, it was being confirmed and verified by multiple people that I've spoken to that have been to various screeners, test screeners for this. So yeah, this movie was actually supposed to set up Crisis with Ben Affleck being lost in time, kind of like a reverse Batman vs Superman. But this time, it was Bruce Wayne, Batfleck, going, Barry, we need you to come get us. Somehow we've found a way to contact you from a different universe, but yeah, come get us, lad. And that was supposed to be the setup, and Michael Keaton, etc., was supposed to be at the end of the movie with Sasha Calle Supergirl and essentially Barry Allen's dad getting out of jail. But we all know the origin story. Well, most people don't know the Flash origin story, but by the end of the movie, Henry Allen is going to get out of jail because it was he might fall and Reverse Flash who killed Nora Allen. So Flash trailer. I might sound a little bit sarcastic. That's just my sense of humor. I think a lot of people miss my sense of humor when I'm being sarcastic. I'm being a little bit sarcastic. I am really hyped for the Flash movie, because it is going to be a passing of the torch to the new DC universe. So, I don't understand why James Gunn keeps saying that we're getting a new Superman, new Batman. Are they going to be introduced in this movie? Because it doesn't really make much sense to keep talking about all this stuff. Pay Henry Cavill $250K, pay Gal when they've got no money, then throw a 7 million advert out there at least, because are they going to drop a 2.5-minute trailer which would cost $233,000 per second? I don't think they're going to chuck a 2-minute trailer out there. That would cost so much money. So you pay Henry, you pay Gal, you cut their scenes. Why? They really want to get eyes on this. I mean, potentially, the Flash movie could make $1 billion. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, we're not going to go watch any of the DC movies now because they're not canon, because the story's not going anywhere. But this is the end of whatever the DC extended Snyder, whatever it has been for the last few years. Essentially, this is the end of that story. So if you did support any of that stuff, and if you're a true DC fan, I know this is going to trigger people, you should go watch this movie. But I say, maybe, I know all the scoopers on Twitter haven't actually said this yet. They haven't said, oh my God, they could have filmed a new scene. Hypothetically speaking, how do we know James Gunn hasn't already casted his new Superman, his new Clark Kent? How do we know he hasn't already casted his new Bruce Wayne, his new Batman, his new Wonder Woman, his new Prince Diana of Themyscira? How do we know this? They could have scrapped that alleged scene at the end of the movie to really introduce the new... I mean, Barry could run into new timeline, and then Ezra Miller Flash could cease to exist, and then all of a sudden we get introduced to the new Superman and the new Batman and the new Wonder Woman. We don't know. Just because he's like, yo, she's not been booted, maybe it's semantics. Maybe it's just the way the question was asked. Why have you booted Gal? I mean, just because he's like, yo, she's not been booted, that doesn't mean she's not being fired. Because as I said in yesterday's video, she didn't actually have a contract. So you can't fire someone who's not in an active contract. Hence why I said Henry Cavill was not fired, because there was not active contract. There was a verbal agreement. But if you're not signing pen to paper, if there's no paper there, you can't get a huge payout. All these actors will be getting huge payouts if they're in active contracts. So hypothetically speaking, theory, I may have to put theory in the video because you guys were like clickbait, but you do understand if you talk about whatever's in the title in the video, it's not actually clickbait because you're talking about what is in the video. Irrespective of how long you talk about it for, it can't be clickbait if you talk about whatever is in the title in the video. God, I get a few comments about clickbait and you guys don't even understand what clickbait means. So I'm suggesting maybe this movie does set up the DCEU. Well, it's got to set up the DCEU irrespectively. And for some reason, people seem to think Blue Beetle is going to be the first DCU movie, depending on how well it does. Well, based on a test screener, the Blue Beetle movie makes a reference to Superman and Supergirl. Interesting. What's more interesting is James Gunn going to keep Sasha Calle Supergirl? I really think it would be bad if she wasn't kept on, because from what I've heard, she's not bad, not good, like decent-ish, but it's just a cameo, a little bit more than a cameo, I guess you could say. So I am really fascinated what you guys actually think. And yes, Zachary Levi did say a bunch of stuff.
I have no idea what's ultimately going to happen to me. I think I'm in a pretty good position. I think we made a great movie. I think it's going to do well, reasonably well. I hope so. But again, regardless of that, if they decide at some point that, hey, this is the way we got to go, I mean, them's the breaks. That's how it goes. And I hope that people enjoyed. At whatever point I finish playing the role of Shazam, I hope people enjoyed my tenure playing the role and that they come with me to whatever else I get to go and do. That's it, okay? So I don't want to... It's hard for me to see all these random comments and like basically lies and things that people were throwing around online and not want to respond. because I hate lies, I hate deceit, I hate injustice so much. And so I want to set records straight. By the way, so does James. He's been doing this for a long time. That's why he's so active on Twitter, because he really wants people to know what's up truly and wanting to set records straight. And so it's, you know, that's why you'll see action from me or him or other people coming to defense. It's not because we want to get tied up in some random argument with an internet troll. It's because we're trying to help cut through all of this random, you know, deceitful banter that just keeps going around and around, because a lot of people who are very good, kind people who really like Shazam or these other things are getting worried, like, oh, is this all falling apart? Is this all going away? Everyone just take a breath. I know we've seen some characters, some actors that are taking an exit, and I know that's difficult. That's difficult for even me. You know what I mean? I was hoping I got to work with a lot of these folks, but it's just not the way it's going to go down right now. And I think you all need to, whoever out there is still like all drummed up and pissed off, like just trust that James is so, look, if you haven't watched what he did with Guardians, which was a total niche property that he actually brought really awesome life to, and his reboot of Suicide Squad, that was better than the first one. He really made something incredible there. He understands comic books, guys. He understands world building. He understands how to do right by the canon and also by the characters and also by the audience. And Peter's there to be he's an incredible diplomat and business person. I've worked with him now for years. Just breathe. It's going to be okay. It's going to be better than okay.
About, you know, he doesn't care if he's fired and all this kind of stuff. Zachary Levi's a pretty cool guy. He's actually 42 years old. Yeah, 42 years old. So I'm not saying that he is fired or something like that, but has he got a contract for Shazam 3? If he hasn't, then they won't actually let him go. They just won't bring him back. And he even says he doesn't know. Based on the fact that he's, for some reason, really coming out to defend James Gunn, it doesn't need defending. As I said in yesterday's video, if James Gunn doesn't want the fire, stop loading the gun. Stop talking on Twitter. Stop dripping little drip feeding info here and there. He wants you to know there's a new Superman. So what happens is all these little scoopers who mostly don't have real sources. What happens if they're all wrong and there's already a new Superman, and that's why Henry's out, and maybe Henry Cavill knows there's a new Superman, knows who's being casted. Wolfgang looks pretty cool based on the image, but as I said, we'll be doing a DCU kind of breakdown of potential new actors for certain roles, drop them down below. The whole Justice League, drop them down below. Who you should think should play them. Obviously, they've got to be younger than the current editions, otherwise it'll make absolutely no sense. So is Shazam going to be out? Just because he's Pete Safran's boy? You know, Pete Safran's the producer on Shazam 2? Doesn't really mean a lot. He's also the producer on Aquaman 2, but everyone keeps saying, yeah, but Jason Momoa is actually going to be playing Lobo. Don't you find it quite funny how James Wan hasn't said anything? Someone said this to me in the DMs the other day, that James Wan hasn't said anything recently. His movie doesn't come out for literally a year. Andy Muschietta's not said anything recently either. He doesn't really need to say anything, to be honest. And I do believe he was offered a position to maybe shoot a Justice League movie in the future, because this movie essentially is a Justice League movie that was supposed to set up Crisis in the future. So yeah, I thought I'd drop a little word or two about the Flash movie and drop a theory out there, but I'm gonna cleverly title it to make out that the new Superman could be introduced in a new Batman and a new Wonder Woman in case it actually happens, and then be like, yo, I told you so. So yeah, if you've ever supported DCEU and SnyderVerse, I still think you should watch Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, and The Flash. Not so much Blue Beetle, because that, I mean, yeah, sure, watch Blue Beetle, because that's literally a new movie that does connect somehow, because they mention Superman and Supergirl. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at WashJ. Check us out on Twitter at WashJ. Sorry about all the DC content recently. I will be taking a step back on the DC content, flicking on the Marvel content, but still covering DC stuff when stuff comes out. But realistically, James Gunn needs to stay off Twitter, stop tweeting about DC. Like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at WashG to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Check us out on Twitter, WashG, and I'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch ya later.